Look at that. Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. My hair is freshly dyed and I'm really happy with it. So this is a video I wanted to do quite a while ago, and I had a crack at making it some time ago, but I wasn't happy with the content I filmed. So I'm gonna explain the premise to you, and then we're gonna go and have a look at Winx Club dolls. So basically what I want to know today is, are all Winx Club dolls expensive now? I think that's gonna be the working title of this video. I have been window shopping on eBay, and when a couple of years ago I made my video on why Winx Club Mattel dolls are so notoriously expensive, I only focused on Winx Club Mattel dolls, but in the recent years I have sort of felt that Mattel Winx Club dolls aren't the only ones that have gotten really expensive. I feel like Jakks Pacific dolls have also gotten really expensive, probably because they have been discontinued for a while now. And I feel that Simba dolls have also gotten really expensive. The only ones that haven't gotten really expensive are the Witty ones that are still being made today, but I've also felt like the classical Italian Giochi Preziosi ones. Okay, so the correct pronunciation of this brand is Giochi Preziosi, or as Google puts it,
Giochi Preziosi.
And I consistently pronounce it wrong throughout this video, and if it bothers you, I'm sorry, it bothers me too, and I will try to be better in future videos. But I've never studied Italian, and for some reason I always really struggle with the pronunciation of this specific brand name. I feel like these classical ones have also gotten really expensive. So today I decided to go on eBay and see what's it like. And am I correct in assuming that Winx Club dolls of all brands are now basically expensive because they've been discontinued for so long, aside from the Witty ones, or if it's still like Mattel ones are significantly more expensive than the other ones? I feel like it's maybe no longer the case that Mattel Winx Club dolls are the most expensive and the other brands are cheaper, and maybe that wasn't the case, and maybe it really wasn't the case back when I filmed my video as well, but back then I only focused on Mattel. Now, the thing that stopped me from filming this video the first time around was that I struggled to find dolls by different sellers. I would come across the same seller again and again, and that really shows the price point that that specific seller sets. It doesn't really give us an overall accurate representation of the market. But I'm still gonna go to eBay because eBay is a very public platform. And eBay is a large platform, it's an international platform, but I don't want to go to these Facebook groups that I'm part of that sell Winx Club dolls. Those are often private groups, and people are often there with their full names, and I don't have their permission to film their full names and the listings. And the groups are private, so for that reason I'm going to eBay, because eBay is always like public. All of you can also look up the same thing. There doesn't become the question of anyone's like personal information. Also, usually people don't put their full names in their eBay usernames. So we're gonna go on eBay and we're gonna see if we can find any sort of definitive answer to the question of whether or not all Winx Club dolls are expensive now. But before we do, if you like figures and dolls and fan merchandise, then you might want to check out today's sponsor, Estonian anime shop Pandajama, because they have a wide variety of different figures and fan merchandise. They do only currently sadly ship to Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, but they are planning on expanding that soon. And if you are thinking of shopping there, then make sure to use my creator code HILDIA5 that you can see on the screen and find in the description below as well. I'm so happy that they have decided to sponsor me. And now let's get back to the video. So what we're gonna do is, I think we're gonna try and compare in-box prices for in-box Winx Club dolls, because that feels like comparing apples to apples more than comparing apples to oranges, because then the condition of the doll is always more or less the same. But we'll look for Winx Club dolls, and we'll go here, and we'll start with Mattel, which is the first one that they actually offer us, and we'll try to filter. Do they have? These prices are insane. They have new. Okay, they only have 22 listings for new, so we may have to take that away because it might just be the same seller again and again. First off, we have this wonderful Layla doll. She's super pretty. She is 115 euros. Actually, she's 155 euros, and I also didn't notice that this is an auction, so people are bidding, and there are 7 bidders and they are still bidding, so she's likely gonna go for more than that. Then we have this clothing set, which I'm not going to count because it's a clothing set. Then we have Aisha, who's 600 euros, very expensive, and by a different seller than this one, so that's good. We have some variety. Then we have a Witty doll, even though I specifically asked for Mattel, but they have done the tagging badly. Then we have another, I think this is actually a Simba doll. We have lots of dolls here that are not Mattel dolls. Then this Stella is a Mattel doll. Pixies are as well. They're Pixies. So this is 550. Then we have a Jakks Pacific Comic Con. They have listed it as Barbie. Jesus Christ. Even though I have tagged by Mattel, I'm starting to gaslight myself. I have tagged by Mattel, but they have just mistagged everything. Okay. Here we have another bloom. Oh, I love this. This bloom is actually really rare. I haven't seen her sold a lot. 450 euros. I'm assuming that all of these are legitimate listings. The feedback seems pretty good and there seems to be a lot of merch, so I'm hoping that all of these are legit. Now you can see some repetition of the sellers here. The seller has the entire line and they're selling them separately. Interestingly, they think that Bloom will be more sought after. No, this is actually a different line because these are denim dolls, my bad. And here we have Icy for 300, actually I think the cheapest in-box version. And the same Icy for 490, but with the DVD. The Millennium Light Up Doll. This is again by the same seller we saw before. The Umbrella Doll. This magical. How do they have so many? Are they selling their entire collection? I wonder. Oh, then we have this. Is actually a pretty. Okay, the box is not in perfect condition, so that's why it's so cheap. Cheap in quotation marks because it's really not super cheap. Yeah, there's some damage to the box. Never been opened, so that's nice. And yeah, this one is cheap, all things considered. Oh, this Dance Night Flora is actually also quite a cheap price in comparison. Then we have this Kelly's Pocket List. So we have some different sellers, so I think we can do some sort of comparison here. Then we have Techna for 400, and then we have this Stella. We do have some different sellers, which I'm glad to see, which was a problem for me last time, but we'll see if that is still the case if I move on to other brands. This Flora is much more expensive. There's a lot of this specific Stella, interestingly. I feel, yeah, this is like the third Pixie Magic Stella that we've seen, right? Yep, this is like the third Pixie Magic Stella. So if you're looking for Pixie Magic Stella specifically, you have your options out for you. There's also Aisha. There's another, no, I think we are just already. There's the Sensational Magic Bloom, Sensational Magic Flora. There's a lot of Dance Night Flora. Dance Night Flora was my first doll, so it's interesting that there's so much of it. Okay, so the average price range for a Winx Club in-box Mattel doll seems to be about 250-ish, from like 130 to 250, and it goes up to like 600s. There we have some results matching few of us, but yeah, this one does match because it's they haven't even really done the title and they still want like 400 euros for it. Jesus Christ. Okay, now we're getting into a territory where stuff just doesn't match anymore, so I'm not gonna scroll. Sort by highest first. And actually this is the comic book one, which isn't by Mattel. So the highest price for Winx Club doll right now seems to be around 625, which is surprisingly low considering I remember it being higher when I made my first video. But I think the issue here is that we don't have any Enchantix dolls, and Enchantix dolls tend to be the most expensive ones. So it goes from roughly around 600. It isn't sorting properly. Oh, it's because it's plus shipping, and I'm guessing the shipping is so much higher on some of these. No, it isn't. It just isn't like sorting properly. Interesting. So yeah, 600 seems to be the sort of ceiling. I want to see if I can find an Enchantix doll, because the Enchantix is sort of a outlier always. No, these Enchantixes aren't the ones I'm talking about. Yeah, like the unboxed Enchantix ones are as expensive as the as the ones in box. Well, this is the Giochi Preziosi one. Yeah, there seems to be no like in-box Mattel ones currently available, but it is interesting to see. So if I sort by Mattel, I can see that the prices of unboxed dolls aren't actually that much cheaper. Like this Tecna is pretty much the same price. Some of the unboxed ones are cheaper, like this Stella, but still I'm shocked by the fact that the unboxed and in-box version prices are pretty similar. Like this Stella costs the same as a perfectly new in-box Stella, I think. I don't think there was like much of a price difference. So it's interesting if you can get an in-box version for roughly the same price that you can for an unboxed version. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm really shocked by the unboxed prices. I think a lot of these people are just trying to get as much money out of it as they can, and they have sort of heard that these dolls are expensive and they're not objectively looking at the conditions of their dolls. There are some like much more down to earth prices here as well, as we can see. Now let's say that the price range for Winx dolls Mattel ones in box is from 130 to like 630. I don't to like 650. I don't think I sold anything that was more than 700. Actually, the absolute highest price we sold for a Mattel doll was 625, so I'm not sure why I decided in my head that it was 650, but it was 625 max. And let's have a look at Jakks Pacific, because I feel like Jakks Pacific has gotten really expensive as well. Condition new. I'm not super familiar with Jakks Pacific, which is a problem here, but here we have those Jakks Pacific prices. We do have this bloom for a very reasonable 70 dollars, so our starting price is much more reasonable. There's the same person selling the same doll. I'm so confused by this. So okay, this is a large set, so we can't include it because it's 4 dolls. So I'd have to cut the price in 4, but even then it's not like completely accurate. Here we have a Bloomix Musa, and I will admit that she's a gorgeous doll, but she's $400. And the limited edition Daphne. Now, Jakks did do a lot of limited edition dolls, and they were really good, but these are always going to be higher in price in their nature as well. So maybe I shouldn't include those. I should include like dolls that were readily available in stores, because I don't think Mattel ever did like these limited edition ones. We can see that Blue Mix Power seems to be really expensive, but again, here we have the seller bias, because this is the same seller. The concert doll pricing seems to be like roughly around 70 or 60 all the time, because we have two different sellers who are both giving me the same price. Yeah, the Blue Mix dolls, this one has a stage and everything, and it's only £60. Actually really, really reasonable. This Blue Mix Techna, again, really expensive, but this silver exclusive Bloom, but she is an exclusive. So I feel like it would be unfair to say that this is the highest price point, because she's like an artificially expensive doll as is. So Renix Techna, and she is also pretty expensive. She's 300, and she's a Playland doll, and she's 300, and she's definitely a Playland doll, but she is from the same seller as the one who's trying to sell. How many of these silver blooms does Crystal store have? Because they keep selling them for different prices. See, here we have the seller bias, because Crystal store is just dominating the market here. And it's really hard for me to give you like a actual price, because most of these Jakks Pacific dolls are all by Crystal store. The prices are all really, really high, but they're all by the same person. Okay, here we have something else, but this is like a mini figure, so I can't really compare it. Okay, this is a Techna Belivix doll, which is a in-store thing, and it's 189. This is a 281, and this is $2. Again, hard to compare. This Charming Stella is 350, and it's not Crystal who's selling it. So, you know, not that I have anything against Crystal, but I don't want to have the same seller over and over and over again, and then think, oh, this is what the prices of the market are like, when in fact it's only one seller. Then we also have Performance 6, who has Stella for 235. So yeah, this is also pretty expensive. This is surprisingly cheap tech now, but they are saying it's a final price drop. So I guess they haven't had much luck with her. This is 155. And here we have Harmonic Stella for 340. And these two are really cute, but they're $2, so I'm not counting them. This Jakks Pacific Belivix Techna for 200, 400. This Blue and Sky set, again a set, but 300. So here we have the Cyrenix Muse Eyes 200, and I like to see that there's some different sellers. This 150. There's definitely more of a price range. Like this bloom is 80. This is a set again, so I'm not looking at it. Oh, hi, Crystal. Here you are again. 250 for this. I think 50 is the cheapest we have seen for this in concert bloom. I actually love this in concert series. If the shipping wasn't so harsh for me, I would be tempted by this. Here's $100 for this bloom. I love how different brands have all done this bloom. I feel like I could make a video about this bloom doll specifically, because so many brands have done her. Here we have, again, like the Comic-Con exclusive ones are the ones that really drive up the price. They're the ones that, like, here again, like 900 and so on and so forth. Here's this Underwater Ceramics doll for 165. Oh, 49. I think this is our cheapest offer so far. Again, it's the concert doll. Concert dolls weren't very expensive apparently, or aren't very sought after, or maybe just people have a lot of them. Here's the Stella City Style. I wish that they had done this dress the way it actually is in the series. This the leopard print is not helping. Techna for 200. Darcy for 2050. And here we start getting into the searches matching fewer words territory, but still we have some matching results, so I'm not gonna. It is 200. Oh wow, this concert Musa is most expensive, but again it's Crystal store, and I feel like Crystal has really high prices overall. So it seems that the Jakks Pacific price range starts way lower. It starts from roughly around 90 uh, $49, but it goes up to like 900 when we look at the Comic Con ones. But if we don't look at Comic Con ones, then I feel like it doesn't go as high, but it still goes to around, here we have 400, and I think I saw some 600s as well. 450, but this one is exclusive as well. Yeah, it definitely goes to 4. It absolutely definitely goes to 4. I would say it goes to around $400, but then if we include the exclusives, then it goes to like 900. But let's not, if we don't include the exclusives, then it goes to around $400 per doll. There is this Musa that's like 700, that's 800, so maybe I should lift it a little bit, but I feel like that Musa is an outlier and should not be counted. I feel like in general the cap seems to be somewhere around $400, and unless it's like an exclusive doll, it's not gonna be much more than that. So that brings us to the end of the Jakks line, and Jakks is actually currently the most popular one, or the one we had most of. These dolls were sold in America, and I feel like a lot of eBay sellers are American, so that might affect them as well. Next up, we're gonna go. Something has been branded as Disney, but like, what has been branded as Disney? Actually, I'm curious. Okay, this straight up are Disney dolls. Okay, now let's have a look at Giochi Preziosi, and I'm assuming it's also gonna be expensive. They don't have Simba as a brand. Okay, they do. They have Simba here. It's only $2. So we're not gonna include Simba, even though I can see a Simba doll right here. But let's look at Giochi Preziosi prices. First we have the Enchantix one. Oh yeah, we can't differentiate between old Giochi Preziosi and new one. So we're going to do that manually because we can't do that separately. So let's start by the old Giochi Preziosi. Okay, we're gonna try to look for both old and new, but if we don't find enough of the old ones, then I guess we're gonna leave them out. So it seems around 200, 179. Can we see any more old ones? I feel like some of these are video ones. Okay, so we have this Aisha. Ooh, interesting. She has exactly the same outfit that one of the Mattel ones does. Oh, that's really, really interesting. I didn't know that they like did that outfit for both of those dolls. Oh, that is so interesting. I love that. That's a fun fact if I ever saw one. So this is 350. And this is a Simba doll, and some of these are definitely Witty ones. It even says Witty. Then we have, oh yeah, the tricks are gonna up this price. 540, 650, 239. Oh, this is a cool Stella. 700. Is this the most expensive we've had? Or was the other Stormy Morgs? Yeah, this one is the more expensive. Yeah, the tricks for me as well. Back when I got my Darcy, she was like $80 or something, and that was that hurt me back then. But now the prices are just insane. 700 again. 550. Is it the same seller? Hashtag toys. Yeah, this is all seemingly the same seller. Okay, but there is some variety here. Thank God. I should look at, yeah, there is a little bit of variety here. So the old Giochi Preziosi dolls are really sought after, really expensive in box. This Enchantix has 600. So the old ones are really, really, really expensive. They're from 200 to 700. The new ones seem to be pretty cheap. Here are some new ones. These are all by the same seller. So we do have this issue. This is a Simba doll. These are all by the same seller. Okay, here we have one that isn't. Wow, that is cheap. Yeah, Piero seems to be the person selling all of these new ones, which yeah, we have that bias. Some Simba ones. Simba ones seem to be really expensive as well because we don't have Simba as a separate tag. I'm just looking at Simba dolls here, but these are also all by hashtag toys, so they have just like mistagged their stuff. This new one as well. Okay, the new ones do seem to go up to around 80 at most. Yeah, the new ones are really, really cheap because they've been available until recently. I think the cheapest we saw here was 9. Yeah, like 10. So it goes from like 10 to, I think 80 was the highest we saw. But this is definitely the cheapest price range we had, and they don't normally come around 80. The new Giochi Preziosi ones cap around like 30. I feel is more realistic actually to say. Yeah, I think we're not gonna include Simba just because. Okay, let's see. Can we, if I add Simba manually, like let's see, can we? I'm not getting Simba ones. I'm getting Jakks Pacific dolls. Um, I'm getting like loads of other dolls. Well, this one is. I'm not getting Simba ones, so like sadly, it is really hard for me to um, filter it by that. So let's last filter by Witty Toys. I would love to include Simba, but it seems that I can't. Okay, so an interesting thing about Simba dolls, or the dolls that I call Simba dolls, is that a lot of people refer to them as old Witty dolls, and so they also tag them as Witty dolls. So that's one of the reasons that makes them hard to filter. Also, some of the dolls in a very similar style are actually branded by Giochi Preziosi. Let's go to Witty Toys and have a look at those. Right off the bat, I can see that the prices are pretty reasonable. 50. There's some season 8 dolls for 30. There's some Jakks dolls. There's some Simba dolls. I am not getting a lot of Witty Toys dolls. I think this one is definitely a Witty Toys one. This one is Witty Toys one. Here we have Piero as well again. We have some repeat sellers. And we have Nadia and Piero seemingly dominating the market, but thankfully they're not like asking a lot of money for them. This is another person, so that's nice. This one is like 50. I think 15 is like the cheapest we've seen. Okay, 12 is the cheapest we've seen. Go, Chris. And I remember seeing this specific doll when I was in Italy a couple of years ago. 19. Forever is sure this isn't by Witty. Is this a Witty doll? They've tagged it as Mattel. I'm pretty sure. I'm absolutely certain that this isn't a Mattel doll. Okay, so there is this rare Witty plume. I then decided to go to the Italian eBay to see if the Giochi Preziosi dolls are cheaper there. See, they have a lot of Giochi Preziosi ones on the Italian eBay, but the prices for the inbox. Where can I get them in box? The issue is that I don't speak Italian. Nova, there. So even though the Italian eBay has a lot more. Ooh, I have this doll. A lot more options when it comes to the old Giochi Preziosi doll. Ooh, I've never seen this one. Still, the cheapest I was able to find here is like 100, and it's still roughly around 200, 350 as a Winx magazine, even though I'm looking for dolls. The clothes even are 50. So we're like, we're looking for dolls. They're oh, these World of Winx dolls are so nice. So yeah, I think the cheapest I was able to find was 99. And I'm actually surprised they don't seem to have that many more as well. There are more of them, but not as much as I expected. 99.99 is the absolute bottom. You can't get any cheaper than that, but honestly, that was one doll. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Okay, let's have a look at let's look for Enchantrix specifically. Yep. Okay, so there's one that's under 200. So it is possible over 500. Okay, so what have we learned today? So which dolls are the most expensive and which ones are the cheapest? The cheapest ones are the Witty ones and the really new Giochi Preziosi dolls. And the most expensive ones, I would say, are the old classical Giochi Preziosi doll. I did find one bloom that was $99.99, but I feel like these and Mattel dolls are definitely the ones fighting for the highest price point. Now, I have definitely seen Mattel ones go for like over 1,000, and when I was in the Italian eBay, I feel like I sold one Bloom that was over 1,000. Pixie Magic Flume for 1,500, but that's in Italian eBay, so I'm not gonna, and that's also like one doll. So I'm not gonna count that as the price is going up to 1,500, even though I technically know that they can go so far. So for Mattel, the price range definitely starts from around 130, but I would say that for the old classical Giochi Preziosi, it starts from around 200, more likely. This is also, I think, because these dolls were only available in Italy, so there's a very limited supply of them, but Winx fans are everywhere around the world, so people want those. I think Mattel is a sort of the brand, and lots of people are nostalgic about Mattel Winx Club dolls, so this is why Mattel ones are almost as expensive or roughly in the same ballpark. And I will also say that I have seen Mattel Winx Club dolls go for much higher than we saw today. If you look at my old video, there were some, and I don't think that's like the fact that we didn't sell any today, I don't think is like a show of the fact that there are no more of fans or that the prices of these dolls are coming down. I think that's just by happenstance that we didn't have any Enchantrix ones today. So that's why I think the pricing was much cheaper. So in conclusion, the Giochi Preziosi ones, I would say, are currently the most expensive, the old ones, but the Mattel ones are roughly in the same ballpark. You can get Mattel ones for cheaper in box still. You can get them for around 130, which is cheaper in my opinion. Like there was this one Giochi Preziosi one, but I feel like getting those ones cheaper is harder than getting the Mattel ones. And then the Jakks ones have a really wide price range. They can be as expensive as the Mattel ones. And obviously the limited edition ones are extremely expensive, but these are an outlier. So the Jakks ones can be as expensive as Mattel and Giochi Preziosi, but aren't necessarily as expensive, and you can get one from around 50. And the newer Witty ones and the newer Italian ones in general are the ones that are cheaper, where you can start getting a Winx Club doll for like $12 and even like 10 if you're lucky. So if you want a cheap Winx Club doll, you gotta go with the brands that are making the dolls now, which makes sense. I'm sorry I didn't include Simba. They didn't seem to go like insanely high, but I didn't see any like really cheap options either. But I didn't do the stats on Simba because I couldn't filter them perfectly. And if you'd like to see me do it again, like you feel like this today wasn't accurate and it was just like a glimpse into one day of a market, which it was, then let me know. If you'd like to see me do it, I don't think there's a point in doing it like every week or every month or anything like that. But maybe we should look into it like every year. We'll see. I'll see you. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. And if you did, then please subscribe so that you can see my future videos. And also leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Check out some of my other stuff. I do a lot of Winx Club content and convention content and other kinds of content as well. And I'll see you in my next video.